Good afternoon and welcome back to the Leadership Institute Studios. I'm Kyle Bechet, Communications Manager here at the Leadership Institute. Our topic for today's webinar is on digital video content. So our guest, naturally, is Cabot Phillips, who is our resident viral video expert. Cabot is the Director of Campus Outreach and a Campus Reform contributor. He also worked on Senator Rubio's digital team for his presidential campaign, and as I mentioned before, is a viral video expert. His video, which appeared on Ellen, has received just over 20 million views.
Sure.
So we're excited to have him today and excited to learn everything we can from him today.
It is good to be here. Thanks so much for having me on.
Great. But before we talk about anything today, I just want to remind all our viewers at home that our webinar is live today, as it always is, and you can have your questions asked and answered live. And you do that by sending your questions to live@leadershipinstitute.org. And you can also join in today's conversation by using the hashtag LIWebinar. So, Cabot, getting into today's topic, what is the importance of video? Why is it a content that we all should be using?
Well, video is right now one of the most underused forms of marketing and spreading specific messages. And there's such a lack right now of good video content, despite its importance. So to give you an example, a recent study by Cisco found out that by the year 2018, they estimate 69% of all content on the internet will be driven by video. So you're looking at just an absolute revolution taking place, moving away from more written forms and things of that nature and picture forms, which are good, but revolutionizing. People right now have such a short attention span. They don't want to have to read through an entire article. They don't want to read through a platform or a post on Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is. They want to see video content, and they expect it to be good content. So there's such a lack right now of good video content out there, and that's why it's important for people to realize, what it takes to make good content and everything that goes into not only making it, but also disseminating it and getting it out there. So I'm excited to be here to get to kind of share some of the experiences I've had and try to help people as much as possible.
Right, you mentioned disseminating, getting it out there. So I guess that's a great place to start. Where do you see video content, and where's the best places to start using it yourself?
It's all about social media for now.
Okay.
And as everyone knows, they know the usuals: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and now Snapchat is huge. But when it comes to spreading video on social media, Facebook is the gold standard. And just to give you an example of how important it is statistically speaking, from the 18 to 35-year-old demographic, which is the key demographic for advertisers and for spreading messages specifically online, that 18 to 35-year-old demographic, Facebook has a 99.8% reach. So there's an absolute saturation of young people that are using Facebook. And of that 99.8%, the average user spends 10 plus hours a week on Facebook. So there is just hours and hours of time that these people are spending, and they're just waiting for good content to be there. And so another crazy statistic about Facebook, believe it or not, last year, or just last month, I should say, 1 out of every 6 people on planet Earth logged onto a Facebook account. So you've got over 1 billion people that are actively using Facebook, and the market is there, and it's so easy to tap into it because a lot of people aren't doing it right now. So the important thing with Facebook is providing content that is doesn't feel like an ad. So if you have an idea, whether you're on a political campaign, whether you're starting up a small business, or you just want to build your own personal brand, it's important to create content that feels natural and that doesn't feel like an ad. So you're going to want to create an idea that is simple. It's as you're watching it, you want your viewer to watch it, to be enticed, and to realize kind of after watching, oh, I just saw something that was an ad, and not even really realizing.
Right.
So to really do that, you need to grow a Facebook page itself. So you can have a Facebook group or a Facebook page. The difference between private groups are that every time there's a post in the group, every member gets notifications. That's one tactic to get things out there. But I would suggest a public page because you really want to be able to advertise and get as many people and eyes on it as possible. And so with that, you're going to want to encourage your people that the best way to grow a Facebook page from day one organically is by posting video content, posting pictures as well. Really appealing to the younger demographic by the use of memes, picture content, video content, and once you've done that, really the sky's the limit, honestly, with the video content and growing a Facebook page. But another thing I would suggest for those people that are just now starting out and really wanting to grow a Facebook page is getting actual users to invite others to like the page. There's a button on a Facebook page that you can use to invite all friends, and encouraging your users and some of your key people within the group to invite all of their friends to like the page. It's much more effective getting someone to like a page if they are invited by someone they know and trust already. If they see an ad in their timeline, they may be less likely to really click on that. But if they get it from a friend, they trust that person and they want to like it. But as far as personal experience in growing a Facebook page like this, like you said, I worked on the Rubio campaign. And just to kind of show you how strong a following you can grow with good video content. We had a staff page called Team Marco. It's still running now, even though the campaign is over. Rest in peace, the campaign. But we were toiling around at around 10,000 likes on that page. And finally we were able to, kept trying to make video content to get out there, to get people to share, and we were able to get a viral video that ended up getting over 10 million views. And as a result, we added about 50,000 likes. And that was huge for us because the more people are sharing your video, the more eyes are being driven to your site, and the more likes you're going to get, and the more you can use that platform to spread whatever information you want. So Facebook is huge, and I would also obviously spend time on other platforms like Twitter. We can go to Twitter later, but starting off, you really want to engage and spend a lot of your time on Facebook.
So 60% you said on Facebook?
Yes, I would advise spending around 60% of any time you're putting in on marketing on Facebook.
Okay, so let's talk about some of that content and go through the steps. Walk us through your process for coming up with an idea. I mean, you have a lot of great video content on campus reform. I mentioned the Ellen video with the zombies. How do you come up with these ideas? Walk us through the process of planning to execution so planning.
Yeah.
We'll start with planning.
Absolutely. So the planning stages are really the most important part of creating a good video, obviously. It's really easy to have an idea pop in your head, but getting the resources and the people you need to really put into action is the most important part. So when trying to come up with an idea, one of the most important things is being knowledgeable about what is going on in pop culture, what is going on in the news cycle, and really what people are keeping up with at the time. So if you kind of keep an ear to the ground and you know pop culture, what's really been trending on social media lately, you're much more likely to tap into the news cycle that's going on and get something that's going to catch on. So for example, with our most recent video, it was just a simple prank video. And for those of you who haven't seen it, we convinced my sister when she had her wisdom teeth taken out that there was a zombie apocalypse happening. It was ridiculous, but when we were putting it together, we knew they're in culture right now. The idea of zombies are very popular. That's a huge thing in pop culture right now. We tried to play up to the family aspect of it. I think there's a good market out there and an untapped potential for good family positive content. And so we ended up putting it out, and like you said, it picked up, it got tons of traction. And I think one of the most important reasons for a video like that going viral and really catching on was because it was relevant. It was something that is popular at the moment. Zombies are huge, and obviously most people aren't gonna make a video about zombies, but it just kind of shows that even something that seems simple and maybe silly, if it's in the bloodstream of society and if it's popular, it's much more likely to catch on, even if it's something that's goofy. So knowing what is popular at the time in society. Other important thing to remember when you have the idea is knowing your audience. You want to know who the demographic is you're aiming for. If it's the 18 to 35-year-old demographic, the most important thing is making something that is sincere feeling. It doesn't feel very contrived. We found that the younger generation, my generation, your generation, our generation, the most important thing is...
I'm not that old.
He's not that old. Is creating content that feels natural. And most young people, they can spot right away something that is overly cheesy or fake. And so it's creating natural content that feels real.
Authentic content.
Authenticity is huge, absolutely. And so along with that, it comes telling a story. And it's much more effective to create a video if you're doing some sort of ad campaign. Creating a video that tells a story, rather than saying, this is what our product has done in the past, here are some statistics, here's why you should use our product. Have someone in your video that has been affected firsthand by your product, or telling a story, evoke emotion. That's what you want to do. That plays much better, and it adds a personal side to your videos that you want. and people are much more likely to watch something if they see actual people that are they're really sharing their stories. So evoke emotion, but knowing your audience is huge, and not putting out content with a bunch of things that aren't going to appeal if you're trying to go for an older generation.
Right.
And so just knowing your audience and then targeting specifically to them.
Okay, so you want to be mindful of trends that are out there. Just to sum up, trends that are out there, what your audience is looking for. Those are the most important things to
Absolutely.
the planning stage. And then when you go through you're in the planning stage and you go through this, you have your idea. Is there any sorts of steps you take to write it down on paper? Okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, or are you looking for more of the off the cuff type stuff?
The answer is different depending on what kind of video you're wanting to make. So if you have a video you're wanting to make that is scripted, absolutely, write out a storyboard, know going in the outcome that you want to get before you begin filming, so that as you're creating a storyboard, it helps to work backwards. So start with the end result that you want, and if that end result is making your product look great, making yourself look great, whatever it is, start there and work backwards and say, how are we going to get there, and slowly fill in the different spots on a storyboard. And that can be anything from just writing out a few ideas and just writing out some specific lines you want to get in a video or some specific shots. But it definitely helps if it's scripted to write it out. When it comes to unscripted video, which is a lot of times, it's harder to do an unscripted video and make it look natural, and it's harder to get the result you want because you don't know what's going to happen going in. But unscripted videos are more likely to end up going viral and getting you the attention and traction that you want. So with those, the most important thing to do is have prepared for whatever outcome comes through. So obviously you don't know what's going to happen. You can't write out lines for an unscripted video, but going over in your mind before sitting down and saying, okay, if this happens, here's how we're going to react. If this happens, here's how we're going to react. So that's very important. The preparation is huge. But once it goes into the actual execution of the video, past the planning phase, the execution is, as crazy as it sounds, I think people a lot of times get caught up on, if we're making a video, we need to make sure we have the best video supplies, and we need to have the best camera, we got to have high def, we got to have perfect sound. And the ironic thing is, a lot of times that's not necessary. Maybe a few years ago, when all advertisements that you saw on TV, or all videos for the most part, you only saw on TV, maybe that was the case. But now what's happening is, with the way that content is being made, people like to kind of see some gritty content or some content that they feel isn't as produced. And so don't be afraid to use a GoPro for a video. Don't be afraid to even use an iPhone and create content that way. Because a lot of times videos feel much more natural, and they feel like something that you would just shoot with your friends if there's something that's not super high def.
Right.
And there's certainly a place for having great quality, and that's something that is more produced. But there's been a huge shift right now from 30-second ad spots that you see on TV to web ads. Web ads are completely different. One statistic to keep in mind when you're making a web ad or just a video that you're trying to push on YouTube or Facebook, maybe you want to make it go viral for your YouTube channel or for your own personal gain, make sure it can work without sound. So crazy statistic that blew my mind when I first read it. I had to go verify it to make sure it was true. 81% of users on Facebook end up muting ads on Facebook. So when they get a video ad on their timeline, or when they're on YouTube and they have an ad come across their YouTube video, 81% of people are going to mute it.
Right.
So those people are still waiting there for the ad to go by, but the attention span is so short that they're going to mute it. So keeping in mind that if it is an ad that you're making, you want to make it something that is visually appealing and something that still gets your point across without having sound. So this could mean including charts, graphics. This is why it's so important to be aesthetically appealing, having good, just appealing content to someone that, okay, even if I didn't hear what was being said there, I still have an idea of the ad that I just saw. Making sure you're flashing your logo, making sure you have some sort of chart or visual that really entices people, even if they don't have sound. Because like I said, 4 out of 5 people are going to see, if it's an ad, they're going to see it without sound.
That's really kind of mind-blowing that most people, the vast majority of people, see an ad without the sound on.
Very concerning. I think that's made a lot of ad creators lose sleep at night.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a lot of people who are at work watching videos that don't want their boss to know that they're watching.
That would never be you. Are you speaking from personal experience?
Never.
Never.
No.
Okay.
No.
Next question.
So, anyways, you mentioned, when we were talking about the preparation, that you always have a goal in mind where you want to get, but. And then you can have like a storyboard type situation. Is there any situation where you found yourself that you had a goal in mind, but then what you put on and what you executed turned out to be something completely different?
Absolutely. Being willing to be flexible is huge. So a lot of times when you have video content, that's the thing. You never know what you're going to get. And so from personal experience, with Campus Reform, which is run at the Leadership Institute here, we make a lot of videos, just man on the street videos, where we go and talk to young people and get their opinion on things. And we always have an idea going in what we want, but almost always it ends up shifting. So just this week we had a video or just this past week we had a video where we wanted to talk to students about their opinions between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, talking about the 2016 race. And that ended up being a really boring video, and the content we were getting was nothing exciting. And as we were talking to students, we realized that they had some very interesting things to say about gun control. So we said, okay, that's the story here. The story is their opinion on gun control, not the 2016 race. And being willing to shift it and adapt quickly and realize, really having an eye for a story and realizing what's the thing that's going to catch your viewer's eye. So being willing to adapt, not being so rigid. If you really have an idea that you're completely intent on sticking with, pushing through and making sure you're spending enough time to get it, but having an eye out as you're filming your video for kind of the story within the story, or the thing that you never thought you were going to see, and capitalizing on that, because a lot of times that's when you'll get your best content.
We're going to take a break from our back and forth. We have a couple of questions that came through from our audience, so I want to get to those. Our first question comes from Diane, and she asks, when I post something personal on Facebook, I get a lot of hits. When I post an idea, I get only a few hits. How can I change this?
An idea as opposed to...
I think what she's getting at is a position or a thought on current events or something like that, as opposed to something personal like, oh, I just got this dog or something like that.
Well, a lot of it could have to do with the technological side of things. So on Facebook, there's an algorithm that will pull things to the top of a newsfeed if it uses certain keywords. So it might be something like, most times when you go on Facebook, you'll see, engagement photos at the top, or people who have just had kids or gotten a dog, or going out to dinner with their family. If they've got a bunch of people tagged, it's more likely to pop up at the top of a feed. So that could be a reason that engagement is being driven more in other non-politically related posts. But one thing you really want to encourage on posts like that is conversation in the comment section. It can be annoying to have people commenting on your status, and you may not want to get involved in a back and forth. So if that's not your thing, maybe refrain. But on a personal Facebook page, it can be very helpful if you comment back and forth in the day or so following posting your status, because when you do that, it'll pop it right back up to people's news feeds. Because when you add new comments or when other friends are commenting, it really kind of becomes relevant again on people's news feeds. So encouraging discussion on content and tagging people. If you have people on that certain issue or belief that you have, or a statement you're making that you think should want to see it, tag them. The more people that are tagged, the more likely it is to pop up on people's news feeds more often. So that's an important thing to do. But a lot of it, unfortunately, is driven by Facebook's algorithm. So kind of learning how to play the algorithm to your advantage, to making sure that you can get as many things as possible in front of people.
Well, I think that there's also creative ways, just to tag on here, there's creative ways where you can take personal stories and make them also and relate them to each other as well, and that will help drive up your posts reach in with Facebook's algorithm.
Absolutely,
like
and including pictures is incredibly helpful as well.
And video.
And video, obviously. Ideally video, but if you don't have time to include a video, pop a picture in there that it will get more than double the clicks on a post with a picture. So adding a picture, video increase that even more. But if you don't have time for video, throw a picture in there. That's really going to increase the traffic that you're seeing on your personal posts.
And then later they'll be able to see your video.
Absolutely.
Our second question comes from Thomas, and today he's heard a lot about content for the younger folk, but now he wants to know is there any sort of strategies you use for video content to reach the older folk, say 65 older? My people.
Yeah, your people. I wouldn't say 65 or older. A lot of it has to do, speaking from a campaign side, maybe not as much a business side, but a campaign side, it's knowing the issues that are important to them. So when making videos, it's crafting things, knowing your audience. So for example, in the campaign, we would oftentimes target videos and posts to the older crowd, the 65 up crowd, with topics that meant something to them. You know, if we put a post out on Social Security and Medicare, no one in the 35 and under demographic is going to care. Sadly, maybe they should, but they're not. And you can also, so that's important, is knowing the audience, putting relevant content in front of them, knowing what they're interested in. And also, you can change the video content for older people. So you don't need to be as flashy. It can be more cut and dry, talking to the camera. A lot of times, the older demographic is not, when it comes to clicks, they're not as likely to click on things that are loud and abrasive and quick cuts. They're more used to the traditional form of video, which is more talking directly to the camera. It's more slower cuts. It's more deliberate. And when you think of a traditional video ad, that's what a lot of times the older demographic is more drawn to. It's because it's what they're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. Now, the younger generation, our generation, is so, for lack of a better word, the attention span is not there. So they're not used to having to sit through a video that's 30 seconds long. They want to see quick cuts. They want to get to the point quickly. So when it comes to the older crowd, a lot of times you have more time to draw an idea out for them. You don't have to hit the point as quickly as necessary. Also, when going to the older crowd, we found that the mainly 60, I'll say 65, 60 and up crowd is much more likely to take your advice if you have a call to action. So they're much more likely to listen to you if you put in a post and say, share this post with friends, or if you enjoy the video, tag 3 friends. The older demographic is much more likely to do that. So keeping in mind that if you're targeting something for an older crowd, make sure you give them a call to action. Make sure you tell them something they can be doing to help the cause or help you personally. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times they're much more likely to do it. We all have that grandparent or that aunt or uncle who seems to share everything on their timeline. So take advantage of those people in a good way, obviously. Just give them content that they're going to want to share with people, mm-hmm. and ask them. Make sure you're asking.
Right. How important is it for a call to action in video?
Vital.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is have someone watch a video of yours and have nothing else come out of it. So if you've got their eyes, mm-hmm. if you've got their attention, capitalize on it. Right. So this can be anything from share this video to a link at the bottom, like watch more of our videos here. But it's vital. The last thing you want to do is waste eyes on your videos. Mm-hmm. So giving a call to action, and a lot of times you'll be surprised at how much activity you'll get just by throwing in a simple thing telling people to do. Because mm-hmm. a lot of times people will be reading something and they don't see a command for them, they'll just go on to the next mm-hmm. thing. But if they see a command, they're like, yeah, I enjoy this video content. I'm much more likely to do what they're asking me to do now.
And most platforms, if not all platforms, make it incredibly easy to add a call to action at the end mm-hmm. of the video, where it's just, mm-hmm. Give them a link to go to somewhere to learn more about this topic or something like that.
Absolutely. And on Facebook, like you said, on Facebook, there's even a call to action button. Mm-hmm. So when you go to put up a video, not as much on your personal page, but on more public pages, when you go to put up a video, like you said, there will be a call to action button. Facebook makes it very user-friendly so that you can make sure you're getting the most out of any of your posts. And just going through the steps that Facebook suggests is key to getting clicks mm-hmm. Really capitalizing on your videos.
So we talked about planning, we've talked about execution. Let's talk about promoting videos. Mm-hmm. How do you promote videos? What is the key to your viral success, Kevin?
There's certainly, there are many keys, I should say. I'll get into them. I can't stress enough the importance of staying up to date on what is in the newsfeed. Mm-hmm. What is being discussed is so important. It's so much more difficult to get a viral video, even no matter how good your content is. If it's not what people are wanting at that moment, it's not going to catch on. So being relevant, being timely, keeping up with the issues, so knowing what's really being talked about and capitalizing on it. But so much of it, like you said, has to do with technical things, as boring as they are, technical things have a huge impact on making something go viral. So it's keeping the video short. Ideally, for a viral video, you want it to be less than 2 minutes. People, if they watch no one's going to watch a full 3-minute video. As depressing as that can be, the average person is going to. I think on our average video, I'll have people watch about less than 50 seconds of the video. So you want to hit it right at the very beginning, get your point across. And if you have, say you have something like a prank video or a personal video or a video that maybe a political video you're making, trying to prove your point quickly, and put your funniest stuff at the beginning. You don't want to have this long drawn out thing and then at the very, very end have your point come across, because people aren't going to stay around for it. You want to give them something at the very beginning that they can see, say, oh, this is a funny video, or wow, this is a really emotional video, this is really inspiring video. Put it at the beginning. That way you'll keep them much longer, because I know what to expect as you're going on. As far as editing, you really don't need, obviously it helps to have Final Cut or Premiere Pro, kind of the top of the line editing software. But most people have a Mac, throw in an iMovie. Even if not, if you don't, you can download free editing software. A lot of times for the viral videos now, stuff that goes viral, it's simple stuff.
There's actually even for cell phone videos, there's a ton of free apps out there that help you edit videos. The one I use most often is Splice. It's a great app. It's free. It's very user friendly. So I mean, there's plenty of editing softwares out there.
Absolutely, there's a lot of stuff you can do there, and it's also user friendly now. And like I said, a lot of times people like the idea of seeing a video that's made by someone just like them. So when they feel like, oh, I'm watching a video that someone, that could have been one of my friends who made that. That's not going to win an Oscar, but I kind of like the fact that it's kind of gritty. It's kind of, you can play that to your advantage a lot of times. Once you've completed the video, that's when the fun stuff starts. You always want to be strategic about when your video comes out. So you don't want to finish a video and just throw it right up online. That's one of the worst things you can do. So when you finish that video, you want to talk to your circle of people. Maybe email 10 of your coworkers, talk to some of your fellow students if you're at school, but making sure people know, hey, I have this video, will you be willing to share this for me when we put it out? Making sure they know that. And then from there, it is timing the release of it and hinting at it, putting up a Facebook status, tweeting about it, kind of build some hype so people can be expecting, okay, we're gonna have a video coming out soon, let's be ready for it. So when they see it, like, oh, I remember reading about that, okay, let's watch it. And once you drop it, it's best not to do it on a weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, try and hold off, because a lot of times you're gonna miss the news cycle. And more people are at their computers during the work week, and from what you said, you're sitting at your office desk wasting time. So.
I said people, not
people,
me.
people, never you. So important, I would suggest Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so that way you have the full work week when you bring it out to get it as much coverage as possible. But the first hour to 4 or 5 hours is just crucial to making something really catch on. So like I said earlier, Facebook has an algorithm. So if you can get your video shared 10 times within the first 15 minutes of putting it up, that's huge for getting in even more in front of more people. And same with Twitter. Twitter is much more of a stream, but it's going to less of a chronological feed and more of putting things at the top of the feed based on relevance.
So for you, it's not just throwing everything against the wall and seeing what sticks. It's having a deliberate process.
Absolutely.
To drop a video.
It's a deliberate process, and so talking to your friends, getting them to share it. It is. If you have any contacts in the media, it's sending it to them even before you put it up publicly. So going to your local news channel, this is something, when I first started making videos, when I was back in college, we would come out with a video, we came out with some videos, and we had no real clout. We had never really done this before, but we emailed our local news stations and we said, we're gonna be releasing this video tomorrow. Wanted to make sure you guys got an exclusive look at it. So using words like exclusive before it gets anyone else. People in the media, they want to feel like they're getting their hands on something that is really important and special. So making them feel like you're giving them like a special thing, they're a lot more likely to cover it. So if you're sending it to people in the media, make sure they know, hey, this is something that I can really get ahead of the ball on and my competitors aren't going to have. So utilizing media, but yeah, getting people to share it early on is crucial, and getting it to just to be visible for as many people as possible. So use your friends. Don't be that annoying guy always texting your friends saying, please share my video. But find just a close family members will help also, but getting people to use put it out in their networks as well.
So we've talked about lack of preparation. What are some of the other biggest mistakes that you've seen in video content marketing?
There have been a lot.
Yeah. Name.
And I've made plenty of those mistakes
Right.
as well. And we've had videos that we thought I thought for sure this is going to go viral, this is going to be great. And a lot of it comes down to missing the wave. So, for example, we had a Harlem Shake video. Everyone remembers the Harlem Shake, classic. And we put a ton of flaw into our Harlem Shake video. We said, what can we do to make this the best possible? And that week when it was really popular, we spent that whole week planning out a video. Rather than going out and shooting and capitalizing on how popular it was, we got a bunch of people involved and we waited like a week and a half. And then we released it, and by then no one cared. It wasn't relevant anymore, and it was a huge fail, and it was really embarrassing because we put a lot of time and got a lot of people into it. So making sure you don't miss out on the wave and realizing how quickly the attention span of people goes. There's so much good content out there now that people don't keep up with things. So being timely is huge, and that can lead to big mistakes. As simple as it sounds, not assuming that people know your sense of humor. So if you and your friends think each other are hilarious, which I'm sure whoever's watching you and your friends are hilarious, I'm sure. And the way that I am with my friends, I usually have to be different when you're making a video because you've developed a sense of humor over a course of years. And it doesn't always translate in a video for people that don't know you. So that includes sarcasm. Sarcasm is arguably the hardest thing to get across in a video. So keeping sarcasm to a minimum, which can be painful. But also, some failures you can have, this isn't from personal experience, but from talking to other people in the industry, things that are off color are much more less likely to go viral. You really limit your audience. And I think a lot of times people think they need to include profanity or like sex appeal, things like that. It's really not that helpful. You limit your audience that way. You'd be surprised at how you actually broaden your audience when you don't include things that might make it seem more mature or things like that. So keeping your audience broad, those are some of the most important things that come to mind right off the bat.
Okay. That's all great stuff.
Yeah.
Are there different types of video strategies you use for different types of projects, or is it kind of just all one?
There absolutely are. Obviously, it's going to change. I'll speak for now to something if you have an ad campaign or on a political campaign specifically. So something that's fascinating. Right now, 26% of people view videos on a mobile device, which is huge, obviously. And that number is only going up. Recent projections by Cisco had it at 40% by 2019. So only more people are going to start using mobily. In the year 2015, political campaigns only spent 12% of their marketing budget on mobile-specific devices. So even though most people only view TV, for about 50% of the news, people are saturating with like 70% of their ad budget. So it's overly saturated on platforms like TV and computers. Mobile devices are the next great thing. So making sure that you're tailoring things to mobile devices. So in years past, it's been important to not film video if you have a phone, not film it horizontal. Or not film it vertical and to film it horizontal. Now you can change it. Vertical content a lot of times is just as good now because so many people view it on their iPhones. But you're going to want to make different kinds of videos for our viewers. I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to do it for a political campaign, and those videos are going to be different than a silly video they're trying to make. So it varies, just knowing your audience. To speak to the political campaign for everyone watching who's political, so much of it is about humanizing your candidate and humanizing the people within your campaign. So offering something that makes your candidate not seem so rigid and not so political, and showing that they're just a normal guy. So putting up pictures and videos of them, just doing everyday things, it really works wonders. And it can be very helpful. But as far as personal videos, you really can't go wrong with diversifying your platform and working as many angles as you can.
Great. Well, I have a few more questions I want to get to, and then we're going to get to our audience questions, and then we'll wrap up from there. But just to remind everybody at home that this is live, and you can have your questions asked and answered. So email those questions to us at live@leadershipinstitute.org, and we'll get them answered for you. So we've talked about Facebook a lot. We've talked about Twitter here, Instagram. What about YouTube channels? Because that seems like the platform for videos. What are the best practices for
that? So YouTube, I think YouTube is one of the hardest things to master because very few people, everyone knows how to craft a Facebook profile, everyone knows how to use Twitter, but when it comes to YouTube, it's a little more difficult. So the most important thing for YouTube, much like Facebook, is not wasting a view. So the way that you make sure people continue on your YouTube videos and not get lost in some other random thread. We've all been on YouTube and started watching one video, and 10 minutes later you're watching a completely different subject and you realize that YouTube suggested videos just took you down a rabbit hole you didn't want to go down. And so it's capitalizing, making sure that every video you have has multiple links pop up on the video. So those are called annotations for those who don't know. So including the use of annotations in your video, those are the little squares that pop up and say, watch more, or interested in this issue, and having a pop-up that people can click so they can continue on certain content. Another best practice for YouTube is knowing or the use of tags, so knowing your tags. This is something when you upload a video, it gives you an option to tag random subjects, and your tags don't even always have to be related to your video. A lot of times, if you tag just popular things, maybe tag the Boston Red Sox, tag fishing, tag whatever random things, how to, random videos, tag musicians. A lot of times it sounds very random and it sounds counterintuitive if you have a political video or a prank video. But throwing in random tags will give you traffic from other videos. You'll show up because of that tag in people's searches, or you'll be more likely to be thrown in the related videos section on the right-hand side of a YouTube video. So using tags is an important thing, and also using relevant tags. You want to make sure that when people search for your video, they're going to find it no matter what. So throwing in every possible tag, and you can use 20, 25 tags in the video. There's plenty of room there. And also just crafting the look of your YouTube channel. When the standard YouTube channel, if you don't change it, is pretty boring, and it doesn't really encourage people staying on your site. So first things first, add a big, pretty cover photo to your YouTube channel that kind of gives people an idea of what you do. If it's a personal channel, give screenshots of some of your most exciting videos and then some cool text with the name of your channel. If it's a campaign, you want good shots of your candidate, but just take up the whole photo. You don't want to have any unused space on the top. And then the use of playlists is vital. So when you have a YouTube channel, it gives you an option. It's very user-friendly to make playlists. So have split up. So if it's a political campaign, have all of your pro-life videos in one section, have all of your speeches in one section, have all of your news interviews in one section, so that people can immediately find what they want. And when you go to a playlist, autoplay on YouTube will automatically play the next video in that playlist. So that's a way to automatically get people on a thread of only your videos. So capitalize on what YouTube gives you.
And is YouTube effective at pushing out your videos with all of those things in mind, or is it just, obviously Facebook is still the best, but can it be effective in helping increase your viral reach?
Yeah, absolutely. Facebook, like you say, it still is the best because of the fact that when someone scrolls to their Facebook timeline, a video automatically starts playing. A video that's organically on Facebook, a video that is a YouTube link, a viewer has to click play on it to get it going.
Right.
So it's certainly better to have an organic a lot of times, but as far as being shared with people, it's much more difficult to share a Facebook video than it is a YouTube video. You can email that to friends, you can embed it in news articles, so it's still crucial to have a YouTube link that people can share around.
Gotcha.
And it's easier to track who's viewing your video, and you can track things like it's shared. You can interact with people on YouTube as well. So YouTube is still crucial, and like I said earlier, this is another statistic that goes along kind of with Facebook, but last year over 1 billion unique visitors watched a video on YouTube. So there's unlimited potential, and it goes up every year. More people watch things on YouTube than they do on every cable news network combined. So it's the magnitude of YouTube and what they're doing and that video platform. You simply have to be on YouTube.
So people like videos. That's what
people
I got from that.
People like videos. Yes, that's what the statistics say apparently.
Okay, so a couple questions from our audience. Diana's back with another question, and she would like to know, where do I look for people that have skills in video and video marketing?
Well, you can start by emailing me, and I can help you with freelance right now. I'm just kidding.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. A lot of it just Googling someone in your area. So much of the work, if you're looking for film work, for someone to come film for you, I would a lot of times not even suggest getting someone to film for you. If it's a project that you want to look very polished, having, just looking up someone in your area, just Googling someone in your area to do videographer work. But I think it's worth, if you're going to be making videos consistently, learning to use a camera on your own, or learning just to film with your GoPro or iPhone. Using on your own. When it comes to editing, a lot of people just don't know how to edit and are never going to learn, frankly, and that's okay. But editing is something that doesn't have to be done by someone in your area. You can find people online who you can send footage to and have them edit it remotely. So it doesn't even have to be someone in your area. But just looking online is the best advice I could give. Just Googling.
And there's
people.
plenty of tutorials
Yeah.
and workshops out there that will also help you and train you how to do video marketing, including a school here at the Leadership Institute that I would highly recommend people take advantage of.
I would as well. I've taken that. It is very helpful. And another statistic for you. Sorry to keep throwing these statistics out, but a lot of times they really just show. YouTube reported that from 2011 to 2014, there was a 51% increase in viewership for how-to videos. So very random, but you could pretty much find a how-to video.
So there's a lot of how-to videos.
There's a lot of how-to videos. So if you're wondering what you can do to get help, the odds are that if you just type in how to do this, there's going to be a YouTube video on it, and that's a really quick way to save some money and get help on what you're looking for.
Our final question for today comes from our audience, comes again from Diane, who is actively listening today.
Yeah.
And she would like to know, when you were on the campaign, how often did you release videos?
Every day.
Every day.
Multiple times a day also.
Wow.
A campaign is different from your own personal page or your own personal YouTube channel. You don't want to oversaturate your viewers. But when it comes to a campaign, we've seen this cycle, how quickly the news cycle shifts on a campaign and how very often people go from one subject to another, to another, to another. People don't dwell on things. So making sure that you're filling that vacuum with positive content that you want, because the media is going to cover what they want to cover, and just making sure that you're giving them as much content as you can, and giving them positive things to look at. But using the opportunity. So if you have an event on a campaign and your candidate's speaking, or your candidate has an interview, breaking up that video, saving it for multiple videos. So rather than releasing, if your candidate has an interview, for example, Marco Rubio has an interview on Fox News, rather than releasing the entire video the second it goes up, split it up. So say Marco Rubio just had this to say on the importance of pro-life values. Put it up. That's a video you have. 10 minutes later, you can put up, for those who missed it, Marco Rubio said this about ISIS. And so splitting it up, making sure you're getting as much video content out there, broad, and that's kind of casting a broader net. So giving as much video content as possible. You cannot have too many videos on a campaign. Politically speaking, like I said, if it's a personal channel or a personal page, if you throw out too much stuff out there, there is such thing as too much content when it comes to personal. You don't want to turn off your viewers.
What has been your favorite video you've put together so far?
Obviously, favorite experience came from the zombie video. Like you said, it was fun going on Ellen and getting to travel around with our family. It was very fun.
There's no Mexico trip at the end of this.
There's not. My favorite video actually was the first YouTube video I ever made in 2013. I was with some friends. We were swimming at the lake, and we saw some fish in the water. And I told my friend, I said, I bet we can catch some fish with your hair if we put a worm on it. And bear with me here. I drove to Walmart, got a hook, got some worms, came back. He had some long hair. We tied a hook on. He hung his face right over the water, and fish jumped out, and he caught a fish with his hair. And I just happened to be filming it. Wasn't planning on making a video. Just happened to be filming it. Threw it on Facebook via YouTube. I made a YouTube channel just that night. Threw it on Facebook, and it had, a couple 100,000 views the next morning. Completely random. That's what kind of started me on YouTube and the video path. So that's my favorite video, just because it kind of shows you never know what's going to appeal to people, and there can be spontaneous things that aren't well produced. It was grainy cell phone video,
right?
But if it's something that catches people's attention they haven't seen,
and it's funny and engaging,
it's huge. And one last point, I would speak to the importance of a good title on your video. The title for that video was "Guy Catches Fish with Hair." That sounds absolutely ridiculous. If I hadn't done it, I'd say, what are these idiots doing? And I'd probably click on it to make fun of them or make fun of myself.
Right.
So the importance of a good title, something that catches people's attention, and something that really describes what people are actually looking for. Something that if someone were to search for your video, it would come up right away because the title was spot on. So, but that was my favorite video. Guy catches fish with hair.
Great. Well,
Classic.
Cabot, thank you for
Yeah.
joining us today. This was great.
Thanks for having me on, Kyle.
I enjoyed it, and I'm sure everybody at home enjoyed it. So thank you again for everybody who tuned in today. As always, this webinar was recorded and will be online for your viewing later. You can find that video. You'll find this video at leadershipinstitute.org/activism-on-demand. And finally, stay tuned for details about our next webinar on June 29th. With that, have a good evening.
Political technology determines political success. That's why Morton Blackwell created the Leadership Institute to train and equip conservative activists with the best tools available. Located in Arlington, Virginia, across the street from the Clarendon Metro Station, LI is metro accessible from both Reagan National Airport and Dulles International Airport. Public and overnight parking garages are also located nearby. If you requested housing during your training, check in with the security guard in the lobby after 5 p.m. Not all trainings offer housing. Guests staying at LI in the Dudley and Phyllis Whitman dormitories are to follow the instructions and the codes of conduct outlined in the dormitory contract. Students staying in the dorms have access to showers and basic amenities. At the start of the training, an LI representative will greet you and confirm your registration. Trainings are taught by a prominent network of volunteer faculty, all of whom are experts in their field. LI offers 44 different types of trainings, including classes in campaign management, communications, fundraising, and campus activism. Media classes are taught in the Sacker Multimedia Center on the 4th floor. In our studios, you will learn top-notch skills for public appearances. Join the Leadership Institute's growing network of conservative activists. Everything LI does is made possible through the generosity of our donors. Click this link to